everybody. As you see, I've been usurped. Is that the word? Overthrown. I don't have a crown this week, or a costume, but maybe you'll get to see it again in some form or other. Anyway, anybody not here last week? Oh, a goodly crew over here everywhere. Wow, what do you know? Well, some important stuff happened last week. Anybody here for the first time at all with me? Really? Welcome. Okay. We're in the middle of Macbeth, as you may have heard. And when I say you missed some important stuff last week, don't worry about it. There's more important stuff to come, even more. We are actually in Act, let me see what it's called. Tell me. Who weren't here, so you're not completely confused. Macbeth, welcome, and Lady Macbeth, I shouldn't say both of them, well, maybe I should say both of them, I'll leave that up to you, did indeed assassinate, again as we mentioned, a word that was first used in this play, assassination anyway, when Macbeth says it in his soliloquy of last week. Needless to say, Shakespeare is timely forever. What am I going to say? But they did actually, Macbeth actually did assassinate King Duncan. And Lady Macbeth, you remember the great scene, is listening. It's at night, it's very whispery and hushed. And he comes in the fog, in the darkness, holding the bloody daggers. She doesn't realize he has the daggers in his hand until they've engaged in a lot of conversation. And then she goes, why did you bring the daggers from the place? Because he's supposed to smear the bloody grooms with blood, the two guards of Duncan. He won't go back. She takes them, goes back and does it, and then comes back and says, you know, I shame to have a heart so white, but my hands are now your color. Okay? And then you remember the porter scene, the porter, knock, 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 there's all this knocking going on because Macduff and Ross and some of the others are on the way in to wake up Duncan, okay? And Macbeth had recently said, wake Duncan with thy knocking, as he hears the knocks as he goes off. Welcome, more people coming in, hello, hello. But we did then see the scene where Macduff is sent in to wake up Duncan and comes back in to say, oh my God, I can't believe what's happened. The temple, our builder, destroyed the building itself, the temple itself, because Duncan is actually dead. And of course, Macbeth has to feign being shot. He and I think it's Ross or is it Lennox, go in to see it. Macbeth comes out, filled with shock and amazement that this happened. And then he says, I repent that I killed the grooms right there who did it. And Macduff goes, what did you do? Remember all this? Right? Why did you do this? And he says, well, who can be, you know, how can I not do it? Who could have a heart to love and not do such a thing? And Lady Macbeth faints, or pretends to faint. And we discussed whether or not that's true or not true. Okay, so we did all that last week. They all agree to meet and determine what's to do next. Malcolm and Donalbain, the two sons of Duncan, Malcolm the eldest, talk to each other and they say, we better get out of here. One of them goes to England, one of them goes to Ireland. So they flee. And then we see at the end of Act 2, Ross and an old man talking about what things have happened to a degree, right? And Macduff comes in and Macduff says, the news is that Macbeth has already been named king. That Malcolm and Donalbain have fled, and rumor is that they hired the grooms of Duncan to kill Duncan. We know otherwise, but that's the word. Macduff says, no, I don't think I'm going to go to Macbeth's coronation. I'm going to go back to Fife. All right. So he makes that choice. Ross says he'll go. There's an old man who's sort of observing and listening to all this during that scene. Okay, so then we got to the beginning of Act 3. I'm going to be very quick because we've got a lot to do. Beginning of Act 3 starts with Banquo saying, "Thou hast it now, King Calder Glamis, all as the weird women promised." Right? And I fear thou hast played most foully for it. But he says it to himself. He's just saying it out loud, right? And he's trying to prevent himself, he almost sort of says a prayer, that he doesn't want to wish that the oracle necessarily come true for him. That is, that he will be the father of many kings, even though he realizes it came true for Macbeth. Okay? Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, everybody else comes in at line 10 of Act 3, Scene 1. And Macbeth engages in this, oh, great, we're going to have a great feast tonight. Banquo, are you going to be there? Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Are you riding this afternoon? Uh-huh. Oh, that's great. But you're not going to miss our feast. We really want you to be there. I'll be there. Hey, is your son going with you? Yeah. Well, we should be back in a couple of hours if the horses ride fast enough. Well, that's great. Okay. And so Banquo leaves. Macbeth says, every man is the master of his own hour. You have your own time, private time, until the dinner, the banquet tonight. And at line 50, he's left alone. We ended on this great speech. I'll just read it. Maybe I'll play, very important. In Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. 'Tis much he dares, and to that dauntless temper of his mind he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valor to act in safety. Right? He's very brave, but he's not stupid, he's very judicious, and he's very moral. Okay? There is none but he whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked, as it is said Mark Antony's was by Caesar. Again, my genius, my spirit, my guardian angel spirit that watches over me in a way. He chid the sisters when first they put the name of king upon me and bade them speak to him. Then, prophet-like, they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown, and put a barren scepter in my grip, thence to be wrenched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding. If it be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed my mind. For them the gracious Duncan have I murdered, put rancors in the vessel of my peace, only for them, and mine the seeds of Banquo kings. Rather than so, come fate into the list and champion me to the utterance. So this is where we ended, all right? So he's calling on fate to champion him, okay? But as we said at the end last week, it could also be, come on, fate, challenge me. I'll beat you. Which is it? It's Macbeth. Everything is this and that. Foul is fair and fair is foul. Okay, are we all ready to go? All right. Enter servant, and your stage direction likely says two murderers. It's a shame to give it away, but it's okay that it says it. But I don't want you to get the impression that these guys are hired thugs, hitmen or something. There's more to it than that. They come in. And Macbeth says, was it not yesterday we spoke together? It was, so please your highness. Well, then, now, have you considered my speeches? No, that it was he in the times past which held you so under fortune, which you thought had been our innocent self. This I made good to you in our last conference, passed in probation with you, how you were borne in hand, how crossed, the instruments who wrought with them, and all things else that might to half a soul into a notion crazed say, thus did Banquo. You made it known to us. I did so, and went further, which is now our point of second meeting. Do you find your patience so predominant in your nature that you can let this go? Are you so gospeled to pray for this good man and for his issue, whose heavy hand hath bowed you to the grave and beggared yours forever? To which the first murderer says, I'm all about the gospel. No, I'm sorry. He doesn't say that exactly. But let's go over what he does say before we get to Macbeth going forward, okay? Because I want it to be clear. I hope it's clear in the way I read it and the fact that you can see it, but we never know for sure, all right? Back at the beginning, at line 78, Macbeth says, have you considered of my speeches? So he's talked to them before. This is their second meeting. And know that it was he meaning Banquo. You got that, right? That it was he in the times past which held you so under fortune, which you thought had been us, had been our innocent self. This I made good to you in our last conference, passed in probation with you, how you were born in hand. Interesting choice of phrase to say born in hand, but it means, led along, right? How you were crossed, double-crossed, the instruments who wrought with them, and all things else that might to half a soul into a notion craze say, Banquo did this to you. Right, guys? You made it known to us. I sure did. And further, which is now the point of our second meeting. And then he says, do you find your patience so predominant in your nature that you can let this go? Are you going to just let him who put you in such a low state in this world? Are you so gospeled? And I was making that, pardon my joke about gospeled, but footnote of gospeled, it means imbued with the principles of the gospel. That is the Christian New Testament, or generally Christian teachings. One commentator cites Matthew, but I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them which hurt you and persecute you. So Macbeth is saying to them, are you guys so gospeled that you buy into this crap? Excuse me. Just right? I mean, that really is what he's saying to them. And of course they say, I'm sorry, they don't say I'm all about the gospel. They say, we are men, my liege. And Macbeth says this, aye, in the catalogue ye go for men, as hounds and greyhounds, mongrels, spaniels, curs, shucks, water bugs, and demi-wolves are clept means called, all by the name of dogs. The valued file distinguishes the swift, the slow, the subtle, the housekeeper, the hunter, every one according to the gift which bounteous nature hath in him closed, whereby he does receive particular addition from the bill that writes them all alike. Particular addition, meaning they get a special extra title for their qualities that distinguishes them. You can say they're all dogs, but he's saying, no. Each dog has its strength, has its quality, right? And so of men. Now, if you have a station in the file not in the worst rank of manhood, say it, and I will put that business in your bosoms, whose execution takes your enemy off, grapples you to the heart and love of us, who wear our health but sickly in his life, which in his death were perfect. I am one, my liege, whom the vile blows and buffets of the world hath so incensed that I am reckless what I do to spite the world. And I another, so weary with disasters, tugged with fortune, that I would set my life on any chance to mend it or be rid on't. Both of you know Banquo was your enemy. True, my lord. So is he mine. and in such bloody distance that every minute of his being thrusts against my nearest of life. And though I could, with bare-faced power, sweep him from my sight and bid my will avouch it, yet I must not. For certain friends that are both his and mine, whose loves I may not drop, but wail his fall, who I myself struck down. And thence it is that I to your assistance do make love, masking the business from the common eye for sundry witty reasons. We shall, my lord, perform what you command us. Though our lives, your spirit shine through you. Within this hour at most, I'll advise you where to plant yourselves. Acquaint you with the perfect spire time, the moment on't, for it must be done tonight, and something from the palace. Always thought that I require a clearness, and with him, to leave no rubs nor botches in the work, Fleance, his son that keeps him company, whose absence is no less material to me than is his father's, must embrace the fate of that dark hour. Resolve yourselves apart. I'll come to you anon. We are resolved, my lord. I'll call upon you straight. Abide within the murderer's leave. It is concluded. Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it find heaven, must find it out tonight. Okay. So, every scene's a great scene. They're all so great. So, just to go back a bit, to his, back to line 90 or so, when he goes into this list about dogs. Shakespeare was known to be a great lover of dogs. Or was he a lover of dogs? Because there are so many references in the plays to dogs, and they're not always very favorable, okay? But here he's enumerating, so you understand this again. They say, the first murderer says, "We are men, my liege." He says, okay, in the catalog you go for men. Just like hounds and greyhounds and mongrels and spaniels and all this are called dogs. The valued file, that is valued, telling the value, distinguishing one from another, distinguishes the swift, the slow, the subtle, the housekeeper, the hunter, every one according to the gift which bounteous nature hath in him closed, whereby he does receive particular addition. And addition was a word that was used when Macbeth was told he was now going to be the Thane of Cawdor. I think it's Ross uses the term, and with this addition, you are now the Thane of Cawdor. So addition means the title, right, from the bill that writes them all alike. And men, it's the same thing. Now, if you have a station in life not in the worst rank of manhood, say it, and I'll put that business in your bosoms, whose execution takes your enemy off, gets rid of Banquo, and grapples you to my soul, right? To the heart and love of us, who wear our health but sickly in his life. I feel sick while Banquo's still alive. In his death, we're perfect. And perfect and imperfect, yet another word that recurs in the play, right? Stay, you imperfect speakers, he says to the witches at the beginning when they tell their riddles. Okay. He says, but if Banquo's done, I'm perfect. Second murderer says, I've had such a hard time, I'll do whatever, I don't care what I do. First murderer says, life don't mean nothing to me, I'll do it, And they go, you both know Banquo's your enemy? Yep, so he's mine. And then he goes on further. He really has to tell them all this stuff? No, he doesn't absolutely have to tell them all this stuff, but he can't sort of help it as he's talking about how it's driving him mad, right? Every minute of his being thrusts against my nearest of life, and though I could just get rid of him with barefaced power, I can't, because mutual friends who like him and like me, I can't really do that. So that's why I, to your assistance, do make love. And again, the term is used in Hamlet when Hamlet says, He's talking about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. At any rate, in the sense of make love to this officer trying to have me killed. Here he says, masking the business from the common eye for sundry weighty reasons, will do what you command. And they're trying to say more, and Macbeth looks in their eyes and says, your spirits shine through. To do with me. And with him, to leave no rubs or botches in the work, make sure you take care of Fleance too, his son that keeps him company. Why do you keep alone? But let the frame of things disjoint, both the worlds suffer, ere we will eat our meal in fear, and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we, to gain our peace, have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. At your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue. Unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams, and make our faces visored to our hearts. Ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note. What's to be done? Be innocent. innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, while night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvelest at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. So prithee, go with me. Are we in land of crazy yet? I think so. Okay, let's go back and look at this one. All right? And I'll try to take a moment, in a few moments, to give you a chance to ask things or say things. I just want to cover a lot of ground. All right. The beginning of 3-2, once again. On the way in. But they're usually done as Lady Macbeth's. And very important lines. What is she saying? Not light a cigarette or what? Well, you know, as everybody I trust knows from some experience or other, okay, what could possibly be after that except to try to do it again and keep it going? Well, here, Naught's had all spent where our desires got without consent. And then she goes on, of course she's really talking about the murder primarily. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. And doubtful means fearful. So we got what we got. And now, and Macbeth had just said to be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. So in her way she's saying something. Your companions making, use says we have scorched, or in some editions, scotched the snake, not killed it, which means either skinned it or cut it like an eel, and it's going to come back together, right? She'll close and be herself, whilst our poor malice remains. He's done. Lucky him, right? And Lady Macbeth says, come on. I'm saying it that way because who knows how she could say it? She can go, come on. Or really, like we would do it in colloquial terms. Come on, are you kidding me? What's wrong with you? Or, come on, please come back, right? Gentle, my lord, sleek o'er your rugged looks, be bright and jovial among your guests tonight. We're having a party soon, come on. Oh, I will, no problem. And so I pray thee you, let your remembrance supply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue. Greet him especially, right? And then he says, unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams. Unsafe the while, meaning, why do we have to fake it? But I guess we do. We have to lave our honors in these flattering streams and make our faces visors or masks to our hearts, disguising what they are. She is the one who told him, put on a happy face. Come on, your face is telling you a million things. Now he is saying, that we have to do this. And Lady Macbeth goes, you must leave this. What are you doing? And then he says, oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. And you know, we're reading lines on a page. He could embrace her. He could hold her tight. He could kneel down and put his head in her lap. Many ways to do that, but he goes, oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. I'm going crazy. You know, Banquo and Fleance. You know that Banquo and his Fleance are still alive. And she goes, yeah, but in them nature's copy's not a turn. They're not going to live forever. And Macbeth goes, well, I guess there's some comfort there. They are assailable. Then be thou jocund, then be merry. Before the bat hath flown, and then he goes into this vision that he's having, evoking birds and darkness, right? Before the bat hath flown his cloistered flight. You know, they fly like in the cloisters where it's open air in the middle, but there are these hangings that they can fly under. Ere to black Hecate summons. Hecate, who we will meet later, is the goddess of witches, okay? Ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums, hath rung night's yawning peal. 3 pages of footnotes on what the hell the shard-born beetle means. Some of you know that, right? But one interpretation was that it has these very hard sort of wings, and it can fly up in the air like this and be shadowing, almost like a bat also, perhaps. So he evokes the image of that as well. Before the black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums at the rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note. Look at all those D's. And Lady Macbeth is looking at him going, what's to be done? Oh, be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck. Dearest Chuck, a term of endearment. It's like saying, dear chick, dear, my dear one. And the fact that he says, be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. So there too, how is this done? Is he saying, oh, you don't have to know about it, honey, but you'll be glad when I tell you? Or is he like again embracing her and looking her in the eyes and kissing her and saying, don't you worry, everything's gonna be fine. You don't have to know, come on, it's okay. And while he's embracing her, maybe, over his shoulder, he says, come, sealing night. Sealing, S-E-E-L, refers to putting when you're training hawks and you cover their eyes, okay, blindfold them, right? So he's referring to night, which blindfolds all of us, doesn't it, right? Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand, the hand of night, cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me back. There's the play in 2 lines, you know. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whilst night's black agents to their praise do rouse. And, you know, when I was reading a minute ago, I hope you got the sense that he was reading it almost like he's enraptured in his own vision, in his own thoughts. Because the next line is, thou marvelest at my words. It's sort of a stage direction for her to be looking at him and listening to him like, what is going on with you? What is in that mind? And he finally snaps out of it and looks at her and says, thou marvelest at my words. You're wondering what's going on with me, but hold thee still. Things in that soliloquy I went over at the beginning, and we ended last week, is that the witches had said, you're Thane of Glum, Thane of Cordy, you're going to be king hereafter. And Banquo said, you got nothing. Oh, hail, Banquo, thou shalt not be king, but you shall get kings. You'll be the father of kings. So Banquo, the prediction was that he will be, his lineage will be king after king after king. And it was believed at the time that, in point of fact, King James of Shakespeare's time, for whom he was performing the play, was the descendant of a long, long, long line that went back to Banquo. You know your audience. Half of the story. Did he put it in the letter? Did he talk to her about it afterwards? Did they together say, you know, okay, we got Duncan, but you know, honey, we got to take care of Banquo because we got no kids so far, and you know, none of that is in the play. Maybe it should have been, but it isn't. What we do have of her is saying, but in them nature's copies not eternal. So what are you worried about? Which perhaps in a way is her saying an echo, it's just occurring to me in a way, of Macbeth saying earlier in the play, well, if chance will crown me king, it may crown me without my stir. I don't have to do anything. So maybe in a way, it's just, I don't know if that's logical, she's saying in them nature's copies not etern, when their time comes, their time will come. Okay, perhaps. But surely, in hearing what he's saying and seeing him, she's got to have some sense of something's up. And stay tuned for what will be up, if you don't know the play. Yes?
Okay, I have a question.
Certainly.
Okay, but, one sec.
No problem.
Okay, so I have one question. Why does they use bad words in the play?
Why do they use bad words in the play?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which words are the bad words. Is witch a bad word? Okay. No. Damn, hell. I don't want to go through a litany of bad words. What word? Did you have a particular word that you remember that was bad?
You can say it if it's...
And you don't have to say it out loud. Maybe Dad can say it out loud.
You can say it.
Oh, I know when it is. Let me think a second. Give me a minute if I can find it. I think it's when Banquo, yeah, here it is. If this is what you mean, In Act 2, don't have to go back to your scripts here, but in Act 2, Scene 1, when Banquo and Fleance are ready to go to sleep, as it were, and then Macbeth comes in, and Banquo says, oh, you're... The king is shut up, he's enclosed in his bed, sleeping. But good of you to catch, this is the world of words. Welcome to the world of words. You know, right, where words can be taken out of context and interpreted one way or another way. I mean, Lord knows, we see this in our world all the time. People say things, you take it out of context, and well, hopefully we're even more awake now than the wokeness of that. But did I answer your question, someone? Is there another word you were thinking of?
Well, not really,
All
but
right.
thanks.
But you know, if you think of one or anything else, you're in the front row. Raise your hand. Okay. Okay. Yes?
How does Shakespeare all of a sudden make Macbeth king? I mean,
Oh.
where does it come from?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
from the witch's prophecy? Is that how he gets the legitimate crown?
Yeah, okay. Let me try to be brief about it, or I will have to ask the gentleman behind you to extend the class another month. Okay. Which ain't gonna happen. So, let me be brief. But it's understandable. You know, a lot of this unfolds very quickly, and there's a lot of language, and it's hard to keep the strands straight. But it was an elective monarchy, okay? It wasn't chosen by necessarily the eldest born son. Although Duncan did declare that his eldest born, Malcolm, was to be Prince of Cumberland, the equivalent of Prince of Wales. That said, we'll pin the blame on great part. The words for be quiet, please. Okay. All right, I'm all the way up to, somebody tell me, Act 3, Scene 3. Oh yes, what do you know? Enter 3 murderers. So, very briefly, it may just say enter murderers for you. I don't know. It says 3. Okay. So there's, again, much ink spilt on, what do you mean 3 murderers? Well, the first line is, first murderer says, but who did bid thee join with us? Or, but who did bid thee join with us? But who did bid thee join with us? You know, it's picking up a conversation. What are you doing here? Third guy. The third guy says, Macbeth. Second murderer says, he needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our offices and what we have to do to the direction just. In other words, don't worry about him. He's good. He's with us. He's the one who's bringing us the information of where to do it exactly, right? First murderer says to the third one, then stand with us. And I'll just say one other thing. Speculation has run from the third murderer being who knows who, the third murderer being Ross, a big candidate who we'll see more of later, the third murderer being Macbeth himself. There's an 8-point argument for it, and then somebody else writes an 8-point argument answering every argument, saying it can't be Macbeth. But I'm just throwing it out at you, okay? At any rate, first murderer says, well then stand with us. The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day. Now spurs the lated traveller apace to gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject of our watch. Third murderer goes, hark! I hear horses. And from within, give a light there, ho! Second murderer says, then 'tis he. The rest that are within the note of expectation already are in the court. And the first murderer says, his horses go about. Third murderer, almost a mile, but he does usually, so all men do, from hence to the palace gate, make it their walk. So before we go forward, what is that all setting up? They hear horses, they're hiding somewhere in the bushes, in the woods, whatever it is. Banquo says, give us a light. The second murderer says everybody else is already in the court at the dinner. His horses go about, which means you would get off horses early and you'd be a ways from the palace and you'd walk the additional distance. Third murderer says that's what everybody does, okay. Banquo and Fleance with a torch. It's nighttime. Remember, even if the play is done in the middle of the afternoon in the Globe Theater, somebody's carrying a torch or something to indicate that it's night. Second murderer goes, a light, a light. Third murderer, 'tis he. Stand to it. Banquo goes, it will be rain tonight. First murderer, let it come down. And the murderers attack him. And they fight and they struggle, and they may jump out of trees, they jump out of bushes, they attack him. The first murderer strikes out the light, so we're in total darkness. Banquo is yelling, oh, treachery! Fly, good Fleance, fly, 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 now mayst be revenge. Oh, slave! And he dies, and there's all this hubbub and commotion, and the third, as Fleance runs away, third murderer goes, who did strike out the light? Was not the way? And there's but one down, the sun is fled. We have lost the best half of our affair. Well, let's away and say how much is done. And they leave with Banquo's body. So, I know that will happen in 2 seconds, and it does happen very quickly, but you gotta visualize it happening, right? Banquo is struck. There's a struggle probably with Fleance as well, but Fleance gets away. And it's dark, and the torch is out, so they can't see, and maybe they black out the lights for it, right? And then the 3 murderers are talking about, there's only one down, the other one got away. Oh, we've lost the best half of our affair. Well, let's away and say, how much is done? There's the word again. Okay. And they leave with Banquo's body. Why does it say leave with Banquo's body? Somebody's got to clear the body off the stage, right? So, they do. And we get to Act 3, Scene 4. Okay, folks. Act 3, Scene 4. Banquet prepared. I'm reading just from this edition. We may have slightly different stage directions. 2 thrones are placed on stage. Enter Macbeth as king, meaning he's dressed accordingly. Lady, Macbeth as queen. Parentheses, Macbeth as queen. She's only called lady in the stage directions. Ross, Thane of Ross, Lennox, lords, and attendants. Lady Macbeth sits. Macbeth says, "You know your own degrees. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome." And the lords say, "Thanks to your majesty." Okay. So before we even go forward, what is this like? There's a table. Is it a big, long table running the stretch of it this way, with everybody sitting like this, and some of them sitting like this, facing that way, ahead of the table? Is it a big, long table this way, maybe? I don't know. With everybody sitting like that and Macbeth up at the head. Is Macbeth sitting at the head of the table? We're going to sit at the head of the table? Is he going to sit at the middle of a long table? If you've ever been at a party with a long table and it's for you, do you sit at the head or do you sort of sit in the middle so you can talk to everybody? I don't know. It's how they want to stage it, okay?
Or it could be
but I just want you to visualize that's what's going to be. Nobody's sat down quite yet. It's the cocktail hour or whatever, or they're schmoozing before they're going to sit, okay? So, but Macbeth then says, you know your own degrees, meaning certain people sit according to their status. Sit down at first and last the hearty welcome. The lords sit or find their seats, saying thank you, thank you, thank you, whatever. Macbeth says, ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. Lady Macbeth says, pronounce it for me, sir, to all our friends, for my heart speaks, they are welcome. So what is Macbeth saying? I'm not going to sit down quite yet. I'm going to circulate with everybody, say hello to this one, toast that one and the other. Lady Macbeth will sit in her seat for now, okay? Enter first murderer. Now, when it says enter first murderer, trust me, the first murderer doesn't walk into the middle of the stage. The first murderer comes in over here and goes like that or something, and Macbeth sees him and comes over and talks to him, right? Or something along that line, or even if he comes in front. But it's clearly a conversation between just the two of them. First murderer says, it doesn't say anything. Macbeth says, still speaking of everyone, see they encounter thee with their hearts' thanks, talking of Lady Macbeth. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon we'll drink a measure of the table round. There's blood upon thy face. 'Tis Banquo's then. 'Tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched? My lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him. Thou art the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst it, thou art the non-peril. Most royal sir, Fleance escaped. Then comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air. Now I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound to saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo's safe. I, my good lord, safe in a ditch he bides, with 20 trenchant gashes on his head, the least, and a death to nature. Thanks for that. There